go live. And you're live.
Hey,
Hey, welcome everybody to Techlore. It's November 2023 and it's right after the holidays, so happy Thanksgiving to those in the States and just happy November to everyone outside the States and hope that your upcoming holiday season will be a good one. Uh, Today we are doing our live Q&A. So as always, we will prioritize Patreon. So we have our Patreon and we have one question here from one of our patrons. And then we also have a thread that has how many? 15 replies, but I'm guessing some of those aren't like full questions. And then from there, we'll do the live stream comments. So all of you. So feel free to leave your questions in the live stream comments. We're just going to get back to it at the end as we normally do. And so someone is asking, for example, when is Go Incognito V2 coming? We'll get to that towards the end. We're going to do patrons, forum, live stream comments. And that's how we're going to start. Anything you want to add before we get into this?
no, let's get started.
Okay, and let us know if our audio levels are good.
Yes,
Okay.
I think this should be fine.
Okay, me too.
Spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, we did. We spent a whole maybe 30 seconds just double checking that our audio levels were very good. So, well, the first question is from Patreon and it's from Lady Lucifer, which is, have you heard much about, I actually don't know how to say it, if it's Kagi or Kagi or, let's just say Kagi search. I love the concept, but I'm not sure if I should be skeptical that the code is not open source. So actually I reached out to the Kagi team a few months ago because I was planning on doing a review for them. And we fell behind on a ton of our content, so I didn't end up doing the review. But from what I saw, I really liked it. And I'd like to hear your thoughts too, Jonah. I actually don't mind the concept of paid things because it makes me more comfortable in the fact that they probably don't need to rely on an invasive business model. And the privacy policy and everything I saw about how they conduct themselves seems super solid. They have a free trial if you want to try it out with like a certain amount of samples that you can do for searches. But yeah, the last thing I'll add before I hand it over to you, I actually don't fully. I mean, I prefer things being open source, but I don't think the privacy risk in something like Kagi search, uh, being open source would really change the privacy implications of it. Even if it was open source, they'd still have ways of logging your queries and possibly building uh, some kind of uh, portfolio on you and your habits. But that's just my
Right.
take. I'll carry it over to you.
Not that they are doing that necessarily,
Right,
but
right.
you just can't guarantee it with open source. You mean? Yeah, that is. It's something on my list to look at. I haven't looked into it too much, unfortunately. I know there's a thread on the Privacy Guides forum about it that I've like glanced at a bit, but I haven't like gotten into too much detail, so I don't have too much more to add other than just being aware of it. It's something I have a lot of stuff that I have to look at, new stuff. It's a cool concept for sure. I like the idea of like these services being paid services because they have a much clearer business model. It's still at the same time it's hard to justify when you have people doing the exact same thing but for free, like Brave or DuckDuckGo, for example. But maybe the search engine does something different than those that I'm not familiar with off the top of my head because I haven't looked into it too much
Right.
other than glancing at it.
I did a few test searches and I did like it. The UI is really nice
Okay.
and everything like that's really great. My one thing I need to look into and kind of my issue with this concept is I do have a few disposable browsers and I don't know what the process is to stay logged in to your account in a
Right.
disposable browser that save your settings and configuration. So I just have to look into that. I'm sure they have workarounds and ways to do it, but that's something I do want to look into. Likewise, it's on my list, but I just haven't got around to formally reviewing it. Sounds like you as well. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Should we open the forum thread? Pablo's Cloud is saying the thread is closed. I did close it.
Uh,
I told Jonah, like, I don't know if we want to just keep getting more comments on the thread as we stream, but what do you
I think
think?
it's fine if you just leave a comment in the live chat if you have another question.
Yeah, and we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Just try to stay on the forum and for the next live stream, leave your comment beforehand. Speaking of, let's move over to the forum thread. I'll start this one off. because I see it at Henry here. I don't know if it's actually an at Henry, but they say whenever I see statements like "we will be prioritized over everything else," I get the mental image of the house burning down and Henry saying, "No, we must answer all the patron questions before fleeing." So maybe if the house started burning down right now, it's just like, no, we gotta finish.
We gotta
Um,
finish the live stream.
we
It's all
gotta
about the
finish.
content, man.
We're committed. um, but the question is, has Henry has mentioned that part of his privacy wake up was the Snowden revelations. I recently finished Permanent Record and watched an interview with him in which he said the worst thing he could think of resulting from his revelations was that nothing would change. In the last 10 years, do you think things have changed? And if so, do you think they've gotten better, worse, or qualitatively different? Oh, this is one of the questions that I wish that like we normally read these and actually thoroughly take them in live on this stream. And this is one of those that I wish it would have been good to think on for the last couple days. I do think some things have definitely gotten better. I think some basic things that didn't used to be secure are now secure, and you can more or less rely on the technologies to keep you safe. And I think we see that in the form of just services that we now just throw around willy-nilly, like Signal and Tor. And I believe Tor existed during the Snowden revelations as well, if I'm not mistaken. But I think now it's just a much more mainstream tool. On the other hand, I'd say the surveillance tools are also becoming more and more sophisticated, and it's becoming harder and harder to defend yourself against just these new things that we're seeing, like AI, people being able to emulate each other via AI, or you can find someone on the internet from just a photo using, like, it's crazy how if you just get a photo of someone, you can then do pretty much a reverse image lookup of them across the entire internet. And it's pretty insane. And these are the tools that we see police using to try to track people. So I think that it's qualitatively different. If I had to guess, I think some things have gotten better, some things have gotten worse. But I will say it's nice to see companies like Apple, Google, and whatnot move in positive directions, all things considered. In my opinion, at least. I don't think they're necessarily good, but I think that overall, I've seen them generally have to move in a positive direction because regulation is starting to catch up. But that's just my assessment.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have to agree that it's just a very different landscape. If I think about like 10 years ago or however long it was when the Snowden revelations came out, like the landscape of technology in general was just very different. And we see a lot of like privacy threats, like, you know, algorithms and advertising networks on all these social media platforms that were really like in their fledgling phases at that time. There wasn't really like anything like TikTok or even like the Facebook newsfeed, I think was very new at that time, and that kind of stuff where like all of these companies really started using your data to like do all this stuff. So the threat's just very different. I feel like there's a lot more privacy concern when it comes to like corporations, whereas like Snowden was very government focused, and that's still, you know, a concern, but the landscape of all the things that you have to defend yourself against has just changed a lot.
I agree. I guess there was something else too, because Snowden did reveal, was it X key? No, it's Prism. Prism is where it is somewhat corporate, but it's still ultimately a government program. But it relies on company data that's collected to being handed over to the NSA. And even that, I think that threat probably still exists. But now, like you said, there's the additional threat on top of that, which is the companies are also utilizing the data itself too. They're not just handing over the data to the government. They're also utilizing the data and selling it to other third parties. And honestly, that's actually my biggest thing that I hope gets cleaned up is just, I would personally rather have just a company like Apple collect all the data for themselves and at least keep it internally with themselves than Apple just taking the data, using it for themselves, and sharing it with 50 people in the process who then can do whatever the hell they want with that. And that's my biggest complaint personally. Not that they're not all issues, but
it's a crazy situation. It's just, yeah, it's like all of this stuff just wasn't a thing like 15 years ago, basically. I feel like people don't talk about that a lot, but like the pace at which this has become a major problem is like super rapid in the grand scheme of things. Like it's not very long ago, like within my lifetime, of course, where internet services like this just weren't that advanced, and now they are.
Right. You want to take the next one?
Yes. Let's see where we're at. Spectator asked, I'm currently using stock Android, not a Pixel. And if I were to buy a new phone in the next 2 years, what OS do you recommend I should go for? Pixels can't be purchased here in my place locally, and the official Google store doesn't ship products to my country. I don't know if I want to go with iPhone, Samsung, or buy a Pixel through Amazon. I prioritize security as my work is online, but I also try to be private when possible. Really want a Pixel, but I'm afraid that some functions won't work, presumably in your country, like SMS. As far as like functionality not working, I would just answer that really quick and say that it probably would, but it depends on like your carrier. You'd have to make sure like that bands are compatible, and you'd have to look that up depending on where you are. I don't know much about your situation, but most phones these days are pretty international, so I'd be surprised if it doesn't work at all, even if they're not sold in your country. But do you have any thoughts on phones?
I normally just stick with one of the main ones, I would say. Like
Yeah.
like iPhones. I mean, you can get into the nitty gritty of iOS versus Android versus custom ROMs, but I would say if you're sticking with an iPhone or a Pixel, those are my two top choices that I suggest even to my friends and family. So when I get this question, it's like if you're asking, I'd say iOS or stock Android or custom ROMs. Um, I don't really have a specific phone recommendation at this point, to be honest, unless you gave us like 10 different requirements and a very thorough thing, and then maybe we could start picking apart. Well, maybe that wouldn't be so good on iOS, and that would be better on Android. But yeah, unless you have a specific way of breaking that down for people in your life.
No, it just feels like the iOS versus Android thing kind of comes down to personal preference these days. Like most of the stuff that you're doing on either one is going to be in apps that are pretty much the same on both platforms. So you're going to have the same experience. I really like kind of think that all of the apps that you use and the services that you use from third parties make more of a difference to like your privacy and security stance than the operating system that you're using for most people on a day-to-day basis. But
Yeah, I think for the average person, you're definitely right. Because for the average person who's using 10 different social media accounts and has all these invasive apps installed, I don't think it really matters too much if all of that crap is being installed on a privacy respecting OS or a non privacy respecting OS. But if you're someone, perhaps like us, who avoid those services, and a lot of people in the privacy community who don't engage with those services in the first place, then the operating system then becomes a more pressing matter, where it's like, oh wow, I actually do care if Google's collecting this and Apple doesn't, or Apple collects this but Google doesn't, or a custom ROM could avoid all of these issues. Then it becomes, I think, a bigger issue. But I think it's all a win nonetheless. If you use, and this is the nuance, like if you use those 10 crappy services on a custom ROM, you are better off than if you did it on another device.
mhm.
But I would still say it's probably more beneficial to just avoid those 10 services altogether, unless you have a way that you compartmentalize things, and unless you know what you're doing, I should say.
Right.
Right. I think the next question is probably good for you, and then it works out because I think the next one's good for me. So you can probably take Gunther's if you want.
Sure. Yeah, Gunther asked if we have any thoughts on the recently reported own-clone vulnerability. In particular, what are some tips that people who are interested in self-hosting can do to protect themselves from similar issues in self-hosted FOSS services, besides the obvious? I mean, like you mentioned, the obvious, keeping stuff updated. I would say that, like, for most people, there's probably not a need to expose your services to the internet in the first place, depending on what you're doing, of course. But using an app like Tailscale, for example, or Zero Tier, or just a traditional VPN to securely connect to your devices while keeping everyone else out is going to go a really long way as far as securing your self-hosted services go. We both use Tailscale ourselves, so that's definitely, I think, something we can both recommend pretty wholeheartedly to people, because I think we both like it. And yeah, as far as the own cloud vulnerability go, I don't think that I was looking into it. I don't think like Nextcloud is affected, and I'd be kind of surprised if anyone still uses own cloud in like a home lab situation. It seems like they've gone pretty enterprise, and it seems like they've kind of fallen out of favor among the people who are affected. So I didn't look too much into it other than that.
Nice. Speaking of Tailscale, that's one of the videos I recorded is,
Oh yeah.
I think I told you this. Was it? When did I tell you this? Oh, we did a Techlore Talks. Was it a Techlore Talks? Sometime in the last week, I recorded the Tailscale video covering the Molvad Tailscale integration,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's being edited, and it's really solid. It made me switch from iVPN on desktop to technically Molvad via Tailscale, because using Tailscale alongside a VPN kind of blows, as I'm sure you're aware of.
yeah,
And so the Molvad integration was just a game changer. But on I told you this, but on mobile it sucked for me. So I'm still using iVPN on mobile. My privileged ass can have 2 VPN subscriptions, and it's fine. It's worth the lack of annoyances in my life, to be honest.
yeah. I still got to test out that Tailscale Molvad integration myself on mobile, but I'm a huge fan of Tailscale for just accessing my local stuff. It's a
You
fantastic
should
app.
do it. You won't even notice you're using Molvad. It's just like you're using Tailscale, and then you get the
Mhm.
benefits of a VPN. So, because I know you probably avoid using a VPN
I'll
because
try
you
it
use
out.
Tailscale.
Well, except it didn't work for you on mobile, so maybe I'll have issues. I don't know.
Jonah volume good, Henry volume too low. Here we go again.
I knew that was gonna happen.
I told Jonah before here. I turned myself up a little bit. I told Jonah before, one of the things I do when I'm editing either Jonah or if I'm interviewing someone or Nate on surveillance reports and I'm the person editing, I always have a tendency to be like, oh, I don't want to make myself too loud and overpower them because then they're gonna think that I want to seem louder than they are. And so I always keep my volume lower, because in my head it's like I think it's even, but I always go a little.
Everyone in the chat, tell Henry we want loud Henry in all the videos.
Here, I'm gonna like my Yeti's all the way at the bottom. Is like wait. Actually, I don't want. I shouldn't do that because then it's gonna be hard to bring it back. I'm not gonna touch it. But, next question is from Internet Ghost, who's one of our most active people. What's even a guidance counselor? Is that above a regular?
It's if you have a certain number of solutions, like marked as
Oh,
solutions to your answer. So Internet Ghost has 15. I think 10's the limit. There's another one above
wow.
it where it's like 50.
What a pro.
You get a
Internet
cool
Ghost is
title.
a
Yeah.
pro. Love that. I didn't even know that was a label that we had.
Yeah.
You're just a Jonah and a Techlore, but they're a guidance counselor.
Just a Jonah Techlore.
The Internet Ghost asked, what are your goals for Techlore in 2024, if you have any? I haven't started reflecting on this yet, because frankly, this year just flew by, and I'm going, what the hell, there's only a month left in this year, and now I'm like, I want to scramble to kind of finish some things up that I've wanted to get done. I actually checked my Bookworm account. For those who don't know, I have a Bookworm account. I'm going to show it, because I want to show it. Because I think it's super cool if you're into books like I am. Here, let me move this over. But if you're into books like I am, you can go and it's like Goodreads, but federated.
But it's Activity Hub, yeah.
Yeah, it's federated.
I don't have a Bookworm account, but I can follow your accounts and I can see what books you're reading in my Mastodon feed.
Right, and I leave quotes and reviews on books, and if you can do that too. If anything, just do it for yourself because you can track the books that you read. And I like it because sometimes I read books and it's like, well, I want to keep notes along the book that I can reference later, and so it's all in my Bookworm account, and then I can pull it up later. But the reason I brought this up is I still need to read 6 more books in 1 month to hit my 24 books of the year goal. So yeah, I'm just scrambling. So back to your question though. Definitely, I'm hoping to have Plexus out before 2024. So that's a before 2024 goal. I just need to get the videos out. The APK's done. I already sent Jonah the final APK. The people who work on Plexus already have the app done. They're just waiting on me. And then I'm hoping, obviously, to have Go Incognito V2 done in 2024. Ideally earlier in 2024, not like mid or late. And then outside of that, that's all I have right now. So I haven't started reflecting on this. I don't know if you have any Techlore specific goals outside of just keeping it up.
Outside of no, the stuff that I'm working on for Go Incognito, definitely a goal, but
Yeah.
other than that.
Yeah, so for those who are wondering, I hate Teachable. It's not a good platform. It works for us and it gets the job done and it makes it easy. So that way we can just, the course is done, we just upload it and then we can have a premium suite for all of you to access a premium course. But it's super expensive. I think they're charging us like $150 a month now for nothing. Like it's hosting some video files for $150 a month, and they still limit us on features that I think are just basic staple features. And so that's not cool. I think the platform it could be more privacy respecting. We also don't control much of the platform as well. So you're pretty much setting up our own self-hosted thing, and we're going to be migrating people from Teachable to that. If you already purchased it, we will ideally have this automatically done. We'll probably do a PSA to all of you and let you know you're going to be automatically transitioned over, I assume is how we're going to do that. Even if we can't do that, which we should be able to, we'll find some easy way to get that done for all of you. And then everyone from there will automatically be enrolled in the better suite, so to speak. So yeah,
Yep.
That's exciting. I'm excited for us to actually have our own hosted thing, just like our forum. Everything's self-hosted
Yes.
and in our control.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I won't fear Teachable, with their nonsense, reaching out to me and being like, "Oh, you can't do this anymore," or something like that. Do you want to take the next one?
The next question. 2 questions here. What's the best lightweight Linux distros you recommend for most users? Personally, I usually recommend the same distros, like Fedora, for example. There's definitely like different desktop environments that are more lightweight that you could look into. I would just look into the different Fedora spins and see which one is nice for you, probably. I don't know if you have anything to add on Linux distro choices at all.
Not too much.
Yep.
I like Fedora. I used to use the only truly advertised lightweight distro I ever used was the Ubuntu one way back in the day. What's it called? Lubuntu.
Yeah.
And it was nice. I actually liked Lubuntu better than Ubuntu, mainly because I felt like Ubuntu was really bloated and everything was slow and annoying on Ubuntu, but maybe I just had a slow machine, and I liked Lubuntu. I forgot what I used it for, but
if you're really like,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you're like more of an advanced user, you could always use like Arch, because then it's like fully customizable. You can only install what you want, so you can avoid bloatware that way. And there's other distro options as well. I would just stick with one of the good ones and choose a lightweight desktop environment personally.
Right. Referencing Mike in the chat in the stream, as well as our forum post from Kat. You can also check out OpenSUSE. This is like one of the more popular posts on the forum, why OpenSUSE is awesome and you should give it a try. Someone really likes OpenSUSE. And yeah, it's another distro to throw your way. But I never associate OpenSUSE with being like an ultra lightweight distro either, unless they have a spin that I don't know about. I'm thinking of, was it desktop, OpenSUSE desktop, or workstation? I'm mixing up them, I think, and the names.
Can't remember what it's called. Fedora's workstation.
It's Tumble. Was it Tumbleweed? No,
Tumbleweed is their rolling release. So Tumbleweed is one of them, but I don't think it's their only desktop. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I can't remember now.
Tumbleweed was the one I tried, which was rolling release. And then Leap is the regular release version.
Tumbleweed is the one that we recommend on privacy guides, I know. And we're looking into, I know they have a new, it's not called MicroOS anymore. They have like fancy names for their new like immutable operating systems that I still have to look into. But yeah, all of their stuff is super cool. But I'm still a Fedora guy myself.
I'm a Fedora guy too. I really like Fedora. I actually, I really have, I haven't tried out, what's it called? Why am I blanking? I'm so tired. Immutable Fedora. What's it called?
Silverblue.
Thank you. I haven't tried out Silverblue yet, and that's on my list of things that I want to try for my personal life. Probably not a Techlore video. I mean, maybe it will be. Why not? But that's something I still need to try. Someone asked. I only have one question. Oh, there was an ad that just played. Do you like?
How do live streams work?
Yeah, I don't know how that works. So like, if an ad plays, do we just keep streaming or?
I don't know. We're taking a commercial break right now. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I mean, some people definitely have ad blockers, so, or most in our community probably do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching the stream now because I have YouTube Premium on the second monitor, and it's fine. So maybe
going.
it's.
Next comments from Valeria or Valeria, not not sure how you pronounce it. Serna Wilson, who's a regular. So thank you for being a regular and being active on our forum. We love that. Is there any major products that we can expect to be released in 2024? Projects, my bad. Other than that, I hope your holiday season goes well this year, and I hope you do too. Yeah, I hope it's good on your end. I think we've DM'd a few times, so I'm wishing you well too. And major projects, like I already said, I think just finishing up Plexus and getting that app out and just maintaining things. We already have too much on our plate. I was telling Jonah's like, well, so what happened with Techlore clips? And I'm going, dude, I'm focusing on new content, not just clipping old content. So it's this weird balance where I always overcommit myself to too many things because I get very ambitious and I want to get things done. But then it's tough, and then you got to play catch up. So go Incognito V2 for sure. Other than that, Plexus hopefully should be done, and that's it for now. That's all I'm going to commit to.
All right.
For now.
Leprous is asking if they can get a job at Techlore.
They asked this before, and I asked them a question, which is like, what do you want to do and why should I hire you? And we never got a response, so I have to assume that it's...
Hasn't changed,
It
man.
hasn't changed. So, do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, let's see here. Rainan asks, do you think there are solutions out there for businesses genuinely looking to understand and reach their customers without having to resort to data farm from big tech like Google Analytics or Meta for Business? In other words, how can marketing departments respect the privacy of current and prospective customers? It's kind of tricky, I think, especially for like local small businesses. If you ever go to like local small business meetups or talk with small business owners, there's a lot of like reliance on Facebook advertising, surprisingly more than anything else, to drive people to their business. It's definitely hard. Traditional advertising like billboard signs, TV commercials, that kind of thing are all going to be less invasive, obviously, than internet ad network type tracking, but it's a tricky situation because you have to kind of go where the people are. So that's kind of why we don't focus on that stuff too much, I think, because we more have to focus on getting people away from these ad networks than getting businesses away. But it's a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough issue. I agree. It's a weird situation. And I think what makes me upset is it doesn't have to be privacy invasive. I do think that there is a way and there is a technical capability for people to advertise and market their products to a lot of people in a way that's not privacy invasive, nor exploitive either. Because I think advertising is also just exploitive, privacy aside, the way it's currently happening. So well, I'm sure you can share this, but we were exploring on the forum because the forum costs us money and we want to at least offset the cost, if not generate a little bit of money from the forum because it takes us time and energy to moderate this. And so the two things we were exploring were advertisements on the forum as well as sponsors. As you all know, we ended up going with sponsors, and the sponsors on our forum are Ente Photos and Notes Nook at the moment, which we're super appreciative of, and like we both like their services, and so that's awesome. But what was the advertising option that you were looking into for us, and why do you think that was different than something like Google Analytics or TikTok ads or things like that?
We were looking into, I think the service was called Ethical Ads was the main one we were looking at. And the way it works is basically they only partner with publishers who work in like tech related fields. So like Techlore, for example. And then that way they can sell ads to like tech companies without having to track users, because they know that the people who are going to be looking at the ads are likely going to be technical users based on who they approve as a publisher, rather than like trying to get onto every single website on the planet like Google AdSense does, for example, and then try to personalize ads that way. So there are definitely like context aware ways to advertise like that, or like using keyword matching like DuckDuckGo does to decide what ad to serve to you. That definitely work. So like you were saying, there are other ways to accomplish this kind of stuff. It's just that a lot of people don't use those services. A lot of people are still on Facebook and Google, and you still have to market using that platform if you want to get in front of like as many eyes as possible, which you kind of do from a business perspective. So that's what makes it really hard, I think.
Right. Tough issue.
Mm-hmm.
And for those curious, no, we didn't end up going for the ads. I just don't like ads, and I think I overruled.
Yeah, it's annoying.
that proposition you had. I appreciate the idea, and I think it would be nice, but also it just wasn't very profitable, if I remember. Like, there would have had to have been so many page views, and it just wouldn't generate much income either way. And I think it would have annoyed me. Like, so.
Sure.
Another regular. Backfield 3779. Thank you for being a regular and being active on our forum. Oh, we have so many regulars who joined. That's awesome. So Backfield, are you planning on testing Fedora Asahi Remix now that it has been out for a few months? Do you have any idea when the project will reach a point where current M1, M2 users could use it as their daily driver, if not already? This is definitely a question I'd love to hear your perspective on as someone who has used Asahi. It's way too early for me. I am not a beta tester. I'm not a guinea pig. And I only have one machine that I kind of use that I can use for this. And I can't, like, I use it for work and live streaming and all this important stuff. I can't be just reinstalling operating systems on it and losing all of my progress on things and constantly reinstalling software. I just don't have time for that. I used to do that kind of crap, and it just drained all my time and energy. So.
Right.
But I'd love to hear because you tried Asahi, and you're like, I think this destroyed my Apple account, but it might have just been a different issue.
I'm pretty sure it was related. I'm not going to be trying. I'm not going to be trying it again because, like you, I only have the one MacBook, and I can't be messing with that.
Are you maturing? Are you?
But I'd try it out right away if I had a second MacBook to try it on. But you had a second like the one computer that I need. Normally I would have like multiple computers, right? But I'm cutting back, so I'm maturing in that sense.
Wow.
But
I was under the impression it was your daily driver, and you just installed Asahi, which was an alpha when it came out. And you're like, screw it, man, just whatever. And I'm going, dude, you're crazy.
Great. Well, I mean, in theory, you should be able to dual boot it, right? But that caused problems for me. I've never heard anybody else have problems like the problems that I had for whatever reason, but I just can't risk it again.
What do you mean for whatever reason? Maybe because it's an alpha. Like,
but plenty of other people use it. I don't know. That was also like, I think it was over a year ago now, so I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure, which is why I'm not going to try it, but I would imagine it probably doesn't have as many issues. And Fedora adopting it is super cool, I think, because that is kind of the end goal for Asahi, is to like get that stuff upstreamed into other distros. So Fedora is kind of who I would expect to take that kind of thing seriously out of all of them, and I'm glad that they are. So it is very promising, and I would definitely try it out if I had a spare Mac, which I don't.
Right. I'm with you. I'm so glad that Fedora is actually the option right now for Asahi and the remix.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. So I mean, it'd be awesome. You could actually game on a Mac then and not tear your hair out.
I don't know. I game on my Mac.
Yeah, but you play weird
sometimes. Yeah, that's so true. Actually, something I wanted to add. I just watched, I think the Linux Experiment posted a video like pretty recently about Asahi Linux and trying it out. And that was pretty good. It looked like there were still a lot of things that were broken, like pretty basic functionality like sleep and maybe like the camera or something, some crazy stuff. So not exactly prime time yet, but there is that video.
Right. I would love it. I would love if I could dual boot macOS and Fedora. I already have a Fedora VM in Parallels, which I use all the time. And so if I could have just a fully fledged host Fedora machine that could run on the Mac, that would be freaking fantastic. And then you could just keep Windows as a guest, which is all it should be. You can take the next.
Oh, I just realized there's a second part to this question.
Oh, there is.
If we have any idea where it'll reach a point where you could use it as your daily driver. Probably not now, not already, but no, I don't have any idea. I would definitely follow like the developer. One of the developers for Asahi Linux is on Mastodon, and he posts a ton of super interesting stuff like all the time about development. So I would definitely follow him. His name is Hector Martin, I think, or something like that. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting that.
Let me see if I can find it. Asahi Mastodon.
The last thread of his I read was about like why X11 was so
Hector
terrible.
Martin.
Heck, yeah, isn't it? Is that
Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah.
I just put
Okay.
it up on the screen. So if you want to follow that, Hector Martin. If it ain't broke, I'll fix it. And he's the one porting Linux to Apple Silicon Macs.
Lots of insightful stuff about Apple Silicon. I learn a lot about how Apple Silicon works from some of his posts.
All right. I don't know what to do with this next question.
I think you just got to answer. Henry, what do you think? Is the Hokey Pokey really what it's all about?
I don't even remember how the song goes.
It just ends with that's what it's all about.
You should sing it. You should sing the whole song for me, so I remember.
How does it start? You put your left foot in. You put your left hand in.
You put your
Oh no.
Okay, we're gonna look this up.
That song just reminds me of I went to like a hockey game and somebody there was a what would you do for a Klondike bar promotion going on. Somebody had to do the Hokey Pokey for like the whole first half of the game, and if they did it the whole time, they would get Klondike bars or something.
Okay, it's actually kind of nice that I don't have desktop audio set up, so we don't get any. Okay, I'm gonna mute this and turn live captions on. So let's do theater mode. Okay. You put your right foot in. You take your right foot out. You put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. And you do the hokey pokey. You turn yourself around. And that's what it's all about.
So that kind of answers the question, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you do the
Pretty
right foot first.
self-explanatory. That is what it's all about. It
Yeah.
says it right at the end of the song.
Yeah, and this man is telling us that it's what it's all about. And this, oh my gosh, this cursed little squirrel.
He looks like a trustworthy figure, I would say. Look at his face.
He does.
He's into it.
Okay. Enough of that. All right. Next question from Roll is Cream, and it starts with you. It's another regular though, so yay, another regular.
Oh boy.
Why don't you?
What's my opinion on the Linux hardened kernel? Yeah, there's a few different ones, but I think the Arch Linux one, it's good. I'd recommend using it. Try it out. If you want to install it, just make sure all your apps work. But all it does is like it has some security patches and it sets a lot of like more secure default settings. So if you're worried about like that kind of security stuff, there's no reason not to try it out. And you can still, of course, customize all of your configuration even with that to harden it further if that's what you're into. I don't have a lot else to say. It's kind of the kind of thing where you have to see if it works for the apps that you use and go from there. And then your second question about the Privacy Guide's website, that is intentional. That those two apps both have the same icon. It's because it's a generic material icons shield. So yeah, that is correct. They're just the same.
All right. Well, that's it for the forum. And before we turn it over to the live stream comments, just a reminder that Patreon's the best place to ask questions. That's the most prioritized. So going forward, if you want to join these Q&As and be prioritized the most, patreon.com/techlore. And you also support us too and keep this content for free and help us do some really cool things back here that we really want to do to help spread digital rights and things like that to all of you. And also our forum is free to join, self-hosted by ourselves, lots of private sign-up options as well. So if you just want a community that I think is overall like super just helpful and we're all just trying to build each other up, then discuss.techlore.tech as well. And it's not just, privacy and security, just tons of different things regarding open source, digital rights, people just trying to get photo storage done right, and things like that. And also like we actually are looking for feedback right now from all of you on the forum. Regarding something on the VPN chart. So if you want to also be a part of like Techlore and how we improve things, that's another good place to do it. All right, and let me turn it over to the live stream comments. Oh, I can't scroll from OBS, obviously. Let's see when. Here, let me move this up so people I'll move it back down once I'm through the top comments. But someone asked, when is Go Incognito V2 coming? I kind of already shed some light on that, but definitely aiming for early 2024 right now. We're both trying our best to fit in time during the holiday season of just trying to do our normal stuff. Jonah's working on setting up our new course platform, essentially, which is self-hosted and all controlled by us. And then I'm obviously trying to work on the course itself. So we're excited for that. And then someone mentioned that there's private access tokens for Kagi. I need to see how they pronounce it. That get added to the search query so you can search without requiring cookies. That's cool. I wonder if it carries over preferences as well. I assume it would.
I'd imagine it probably would, because it probably just gives you access to your account. That was exactly how I was imagining in my head when you were talking about it, like how that should work, and I'm glad that they do have that. So
right,
sounds
I think
cool.
Start Page is something similar. I assume DuckDuckGo would as well.
Well, they don't require account access.
They don't, but
so
you
they
can.
wouldn't need it.
I mean, like, same thing with Start Page. Like, you don't
to
have
save
to
your preferences.
Start Page, but you can save your preferences if you want to.
Sure.
I don't have much experience with Sandboxy. Do you?
Sandboxy?
I think it's Sandboxy
No.
for Windows, right?
Oh, maybe. I haven't used it, so I don't know.
I believe it's
I think I've heard of that
program for Windows. Let me check. Sandboxy Plus. Yeah, for Windows. Yeah, not too much experience with it on my end either. Unfortunately. Also, if you see any questions, just shoot them over that you want to tackle. One from Dan. How hard is it to cross over from a standard Android setup to a custom ROM? Is it a struggle living without the luxuries? I think it really depends on the use case. For me, I actually prefer being on a custom ROM from a usability perspective because it's more minimal and I feel more focused on one. But that's also because I don't use a ton of services that like most people use. So I would say you can always just try a custom ROM and install your stock ROM back. There's nothing stopping you from doing that and seeing how it works. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely just try it out. It really depends on the apps that you use more than anything else.
Right. Though nowadays, like certain ROMs, you can probably use almost every app unaffected at this point, for the most part. Got a hello from the Privacy Dad. Definitely do a shout out to the Privacy Dad. For those who don't know, let me pull it up. So in one of the surveillance reports, we were talking about, there was some story about children or like parents exposing their children or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but essentially, I forgot if it was Nate or myself that mentioned, oh, it'd be awesome if someone made like a privacy resource, because we were mentioning how, well, we're not parents. Neither Nate nor I were parents, and this is why we need more people kind of speaking about privacy and giving different perspectives from their worldview. And so we said, oh, the Privacy Dad sounds like the perfect name. Someone should totally scoop that up and start doing stuff. And so before we knew it, there was the Privacy Dad's blog, and it's really good quality stuff. And they're active on our forum too. So if you want to see them active on our forum, there's that too. But it's super good, and it all comes from a parent's perspective. So if any of you are parents and are curious about balancing, it's not just about privacy, but balancing just technology with your children, it's a really good place. I really enjoy the post, so good job. Do you see anything that you want to tackle?
So I'm just looking through the chat right now.
Okay.
Oh, Pablo's Cloud was wondering if we have any tips to get people excited about using Signal. Everyone switched except your dad. If everyone switched, then why are they also on WhatsApp? Maybe they should all switch to Signal.
Yeah.
It's really challenging. Yeah.
There's no magic bullet answer that we can share with you. Just keep trying. You can also just try to have like I like to have real talks with people. Just say, hey, like, I appreciate you, and you're someone who means a lot to me, and it would just it would really mean a lot to me on my end if you just use this messenger. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but here are my reasons, and it would really improve, I think, my ability to communicate with you in a healthy way, something like that. I don't know. I tend to be very upfront with that kind of stuff.
That's good advice.
Yeah, I don't know if that's how your dad. Was it your dad? I don't know if that's how your dad will respond or react well to things, but that's kind of what I do. I was recommended a video called Why I Switched from Android to iPhone. I disliked the video. I encourage everyone else to do the same. But why?
Oh, spicy.
Spicy hot takes. But why? Like, what if an iPhone is better for someone?
Everyone has to have the exact same opinion.
So true. They're right. I'm just gonna go to that video. I'm gonna find this video and I'm gonna dislike the video, even though I'm mostly playing.
Where should I buy a VPS for my personal VPN? You just have to find a company that you trust. It's hard to say. It's the exact same as like shopping for a real VPN. I think you have to trust that ISP. And if you trust them more than your ISP, then it's probably a good choice.
Right. I'm trying to do research on the next question I saw, which was an open source VoIP app for a private number for calling and texting, and there was one, and I wanted to find it. You might already know. It starts with a G.
Jump? JMP.chat?
Yes.
Or no?
Jump. Yeah, it is. That's the one I was thinking of. Because you could integrate that with, was it a Matrix client or XMPP client?
I think it was XMPP is how that worked.
Yeah.
Could also be Matrix. It was cool. I'm still working on like a VoIP. I know, I have to test all these apps because I'm working on a VoIP guide right now for privacy guides that's still in progress. And
Nice.
that was one of them that I tested out a little bit, but haven't really finished using yet. So
nice. Yeah, I'm excited to see that. It's definitely a tricky situation. Are you going to be also covering international stuff, or is it you're just gonna ignore that and just go, this is US focused to make this easy for everyone? Because getting into international stuff is tough with VoIP.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what resources I'm able to find when I do that.
Okay. Whee! Someone asked, I wanted to avoid the spam. I know log me in for emails, but are there any, I haven't heard of log me in, but I assume it's like an email aliasing, but are there any other phone number forwarding services or something like that? I mean, there's the VoIP services, but I think it's going to be really hard to find something that's going to generate a new number for you for every site. I'm sure it might exist. I don't know if you know one, but normally my approach to this, because phone numbers aren't easy nor cheap, is to just have a select few number of alias phone numbers used for different things. So like I have a number used just for my Signal account. I have a number used for spam. I have a number used for friends who I need to keep private but don't want to use Signal or iMessage or any other encrypted messenger. So I have different phone numbers for different things. I have a phone number that's used just for 2FA for accounts that only do SMS 2FA because they're 10 years in the past. So that's what I recommend. I don't know if you do anything different.
Sorry, to be honest with you, I was looking up something. I was looking up log me in while you were talking. So.
You're good. You're good. What is it?
Well, I was just making sure because log me in my mind was like kind of a weird spammy company that does like enterprise stuff. And they are. I think they probably meant simple login because I don't think they meant log me in.
Oh yeah,
log me in like a really long time ago. They bought an app called Hamachi, which was like Tailscale except in 2010 instead of now, and then they ruined it, but it was very popular for gamers at the time, so that's why it's on people's minds.
Oh, yeah,
that's the only time I've ever heard of it. They bought log me and Hamachi and then shut it down.
It's actually VPN.net now. They got that whole
Really?
domain, and it's Hamachi by logmein.
Yeah, it's
just VPN.net.
It used to be good before logmein bought it, and that's all I know about logmein. Yeah, exactly.
$50 a year. Oh, it's per year. I thought it was per month. Okay, that's better.
Ooh, that'd be crazy.
It's $50 per year for 6 to 32 computers. Okay, that's still better. But this doesn't look promising.
No, okay. Don't use it. Nobody go visit that site. Use Tailscale if you're looking for a self-hosted LAN VPN.
I do like Tailscale, and it works with Molvad. and next DNS. That's my current configuration. So,
somebody said any LXDE or XFCE distro will work for lightweight. Yeah, I was thinking that. That's probably fine for most people. The problems with those is that they don't support Wayland yet, I believe. And I really like the Wayland window manager for a lot of reasons, security being one of them. So it's kind of an annoying situation for lightweight distros on Linux at the moment. But at the same time, it's probably fine to use like XFCE and not have any problems.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, someone else asked the same question. Unless it's the same person who asked the same question. Oh, it is the same person. Don't do that.
Don't do.
They asked the VoIP app question.
Oh.
Yeah, we see them later, so there's no need to post your question twice, and it just spams the chat. So we appreciate the question, but makes it easier for us if you just do it once. Do you know any screen calling software that's third party that's not built into the operating system?
Privately screen calls. No, I don't do that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so that is something like, dang, I really wish Google put features into like the Android open source project instead of making it like Play services stuff, because the dialer on the stock Pixel Android is super cool. Like that screen calling thing, AI stuff, but it all relies on the cloud. So not a fan.
Right. You can also do my approach, which is just technically you have to have a number for most SIMs, but just don't use that number for anything. Just block all calls. That's what I do.
Yeah. I also don't answer my phone. I don't know how realistic that is for people, but
I answer my phone. It's just everything is through an encrypted
mine is just like
platform.
If you're a contact, otherwise it gets blocked.
Got it. No, for me, you can't even. No one knows my phone number. That's on my actual SIM plan. And so I use only VoIP services or end-to-end encrypted platforms at this point. It's also so much easier because then I could just swap out cell plans. I don't have to port numbers over. It just doesn't matter anymore. And then you keep all your VoIP numbers regardless of what cell plan you're on. So it also gives me freedom of mind when I do that too. But also you don't have to worry about spam because most VoIP services have built-in spam protection, or at least a lot of them do. And then you don't have to deal with that on the local level on your phone. But that's just my approach. Let's see.
KZ1994 both says can't recommend apps in the chat. I feel like I saw someone else mention that too. It's like the chat being censored by YouTube or something. I don't know how YouTube chat works. Sometimes messages just disappear. It seems like so.
Yeah, I mean, you're all watching us live stream in real time, and you can even see when my mouse is hovering over messages and what I'm doing. Like if I was gonna block a message, like you'd see me do it right here live. So, yeah, it's not us.
It's not on our end. It's a YouTube thing.
Yeah, actually,
comments have the same problem. Didn't you make a video about that?
I did make a video about that, and it's weird because it gets so many comments because the whole video is like you can't leave comments on YouTube all the time, and so people are like leaving comments on the video, but it's not even performing that well. It just gets a ton of comments. Let's see, it only has 20,000 views, but it gets like 10 to 20 comments a day, it feels like. Let's see, yeah, 20,000 views and almost 1,500 comments, which is ridiculous. That means that's like an insane ratio. Let me see.
You figured out the engagement hacks.
Well, YouTube doesn't.
You've kind of proven that, yeah, YouTube doesn't care about comments.
YouTube doesn't care about comments. That's like within the YouTuber community, the general rule is it's actually not worth the time to ask people to leave comments. Like it's more beneficial to save and get better audience retention than it is to ask for comments. And 1 in 13 people who watched that video left a comment, and the video has 20,000 views. Versus my Instagram Threads video has 45,000 views, and it was published a whole almost a month after that video. So it's had one less month to develop and mature, and it has 45,000 views, and it only has 370 comments, which is a fifth of the comments, but it has twice the views. So yeah, I don't think comments really mean anything. Not that we don't like the comments, because it's still engaging and it's good for the community, but I think from a performance perspective, it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm still going through these. So Pablo installed Asahi Linux, and it works perfectly fine, even with speaker support now. It's crazy that it didn't have speaker support before.
Did have support for a lot of stuff before.
Wow.
It's crazy how lightweight Asahi Linux is. From what I've been reading, like turning on your keyboard backlight makes a massive difference in like how much battery life you get, because like just the LEDs in your keyboard is like enough to add like 30% more power or something like that crazy. Because it's like over a watt, I think, for the lights, right? And if you're only running a 4-watt chip in your computer, it makes a big difference.
Wow. So cool. I mean, it's cool that the MacBook Pros are so efficient too. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's exciting, because I think, was it Linus Tech Tips who did a test on the MacBook Pro and got over 24 hours on the test for a whole 1080p YouTube video? They watched a 1080p YouTube video, I think at half brightness, for over 24 hours. That's how long the battery lasted. It was something like that. And that's with Mac OS. So if they get a more power efficient Linux distro on there, oh my gosh, it could be crazy. Or maybe it'd be worse. Who knows?
Who knows? I will say, speaking of battery life, I think my MacBook battery life has gotten worse. I've had it for a long time though.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've noticed this. I wish you could check like the battery health easily in macOS, and you can't. But
I thought you can. I thought it just tells you the battery capacity. It's in your battery settings.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
I thought it just said normal or unhealthy, but it does have a percentage.
Yeah.
I'm at 87%. That's worse than I thought it would be.
Let me see mine.
Ooh. It's just something that I'm not used to, because back when computers were terrible, I would upgrade like every year.
Guess what I'm at?
What are you at?
88%.
Oh, I'm just a power user, man. Makes a big difference.
Right.
I'm really
God, this doesn't go away.
crushing my battery.
The YouTube stream UI is so bad. Like, if I click a comment, there's no way. Like, if I click out of the window, oh, it does go away. Never mind. Crisis averted.
User error.
User error. Absolutely.
Oh no, I lost my thing in the chat. Oh, it's all.
Oh, I just did too.
My computer's all messed up.
No, it
Did
doesn't.
Something happen?
No, it's done that for years. Where sometimes if you leave and you go back, and it just jumps to the bottom. It's so annoying.
Ridiculous.
You put your night in first, you put your night out next, you Google and peasant, then you holy hell about.
You don't know en passant?
No.
And peasant?
No.
You're not a chess player?
What is that?
It's a move in chess.
Oh yeah, I haven't played chess yet, so
it's a rare. You can surprise noobs with it, because there's a way you move your pawn past another pawn, and then you capture it at the same time. And people are like, "What? That doesn't look legal." You don't have to like go over them. It's a whole thing.
Oh.
Yep, that's why you have to Google it probably.
I'm glad that Mike's comment resonated with you. Would you use Discord if you were using a privacy-focused client like Replugged or Vencord? I mean, I already use Discord, unfortunately, but I use it within my browser, so I just keep it as a web app. We have a Discord community, which we use just because it's usable and people enjoy it, but we don't really advertise it too much. So I know you had issues with the clients.
Discord client. Oh, I have issues all the time. It's hard to keep track.
Opinions and experience with Piped. I haven't used Piped, so.
It's worked when I used it, but I'm not, an Android users.
I have gray hair.
Or am I thinking of
sync comments?
Oh no, Piped. I'm thinking of New Pipe. Piped is a website, I think, isn't it? Is piped a web interface for YouTube? I don't remember. I usually use Invidious as a YouTube front end when I'm like sharing stuff. So.
Yeah, it looks like somewhat of a thing like Invidious. Piped. Yeah, because I'm seeing Kavin.rocks, so it looks like you can have different instances of piped. Yeah, piped.video. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, no opinion, because usually Invidious still works for me if I can find a good instance.
This freaking Elon Musk stuff. I just pull up piped, and it's Elon Musk to advertisers who are trying to blackmail him. It's like
you gotta watch that video sometime. He literally
is insane.
He's insane.
It's like, oh, people just don't want to work with you unless, like, you set a certain amount.
Isn't this journalist?
Isn't this like business though? Isn't this just business? I don't know what's going on, but is it just people going, we're not going to advertise anymore unless we get paid this amount?
No. It's Elon Musk is like replying to anti-Semitic tweets, that kind of thing.
Oh.
And so businesses like Disney are like, we don't want to be associated with you anymore.
Okay, Disney probably should do that. Given their history. Yikes. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this open on Piped and watch it on Piped after this live stream. It's only 3 minutes, so.
Yeah, he sounds crazy in that video.
Well, why don't we tackle this here? I'm down. I have enough energy. Only normies compare iPhone to Android. There is no comparison. Android allows you to sideload and customize far more than what you will ever be able to do on an iPhone, even after recent version patches. I will say definitely a lot of valid points. Like, my favorite thing about Android is F-Droid and the fact I can sideload apps and the open source availability of applications. The third-party situation on Android is fantastic. On the other hand, I think lockdown mode is incredible, and I haven't seen anything that kind of stacks up against that on Android yet. And my big selling point for Apple right now is the fact that you can have end-to-end encryption on pretty much all Apple services at the moment that's perfectly integrated into the operating system. You can't really replicate that on Android right now. Like, there is no way to do a cloud backup of your Android device with end-to-end encryption. It's just not possible. And
I mean, if we're being honest, there's barely a way to do it without end-to-end encryption.
Right, because Google's backup method is terrible.
Yeah.
And they don't even offer anything like that. And so I think Apple really has been making some nice changes for the normies. So I do think there's some truth to what you're saying. Only normies compare iPhone to Android. Because for normies, they're probably going to have a better time, and they're still going to be in a better place from a privacy and security perspective on an iPhone at the moment. And even for non-normies and very tech-savvy people, they can still find things on iOS that are very beneficial, which is one of the reasons why I still haven't used an iOS device for certain things. So, as do you, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So.
People are sharing their battery life percentages. 44%, George.
Who's at 44%? No.
Hold on. Your maximum battery capacity is 44%, not just your current charge, because that's kind of surprising to me. Usually, like, when they get below 70 or 60, they kind of stop working after a while.
Right.
That'd be crazy. 44%.
Yeah. Is that your battery capacity or your battery percentage?
George, we have to know. If it's your capacity, you got to get a new battery.
We need to help George. Poor George.
Literally all smart doorbells have crap privacy, but which one is the least bad?
Okay, it's the current charge. Thank goodness.
Okay, that's so much better. No, we were talking about the maximum capacity. So, like, mine's at 100%, but apparently that's only 87 or whatever I said of what it used to be, which is tragic. And I guess that explains why I've been noticing bad battery life.
Maybe you're just using your device more.
As far as smart doorbells, it kind of depends on what like smart home ecosystem you have. If you're doing like you could do fully local smart home stuff with like Home Assistant, for example, and then you wouldn't have to worry about that kind of thing. But off the top of my head, I don't know like a specific brand that would be better than others.
Oh, and someone
definitely that one owned by Anchor. Is it Eufy? The one that like promised to be local and then stored all your
Yeah,
stuff in the cloud anyways?
it
Yeah.
was. It was. Yeah, I think it was Anchor Eufy or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was Eufy.
That was not good. Someone brought up a good point here too, that the EU is forcing Apple to allow side loading. We don't know what this is going to look like yet, so we don't know if it's going to be. It seems like so. The
Yeah.
person who develops AltStore, I think you and I were the person looking at. Or
Yeah,
maybe,
we were looking at that.
yeah, they posted on Mastodon, that they are super excited about some of the API changes that are happening on the iOS level, because it looks like on the surface it's going to allow third-party apps to install applications. So there could actually be third-party app stores on iOS based on this preliminary assessment, but we don't actually know where that's going to happen. And also, I think that API has a different API that ties it to location. So it is one of the features that people think they might actually be only rolling out in the EU, which would be insane,
That's
because
interesting.
that's built into the API. And it's
Oh,
not just like, oh, your current GPS location or your IP address location. It's like, no, it's like, you know, your Apple account, the App Store, GPS, IP address. Like, it's, you're not going to be able to spoof it. So
that's annoying.
yeah.
That'll be annoying if that's true. Do you have you heard about the EEA changes that Microsoft is making with Windows?
No.
They're in the EEA, European Economic Area. They're allowing people to do stuff like uninstall Edge in a future version of Windows 11 and uninstall all these other system components, but it's region locked. So it's only for EU people, though everyone else is stuck with Microsoft Edge, kind of the same thing.
So annoying. I gotta say though, EU really whipped Apple into some good shape.
It's yeah, it's surprising. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. I'd be surprised if it was EU only. That would be very annoying to me, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what.
And it's super annoying that the EU has to do this stuff.
Right.
Like I don't know why Apple just doesn't release these services.
Because they don't have a financial incentive to do so, which is why, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but at least with over on Nate on the surveillance report, it's like there has to be some level of regulation. I don't think regulation is the answer in every situation, but Apple will just keep doing their BS for years on end because there's nothing and no reason for them not to. But now, thanks to some regulation just from one part of the world, right? They now have USB-C on iPhones. They now are going to allow some form of side loading, at least in that part of the country. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. And they're also now forcing web applications to be better supported and integrating them into the operating system. These are all things that we've wanted for some of these for a decade from Apple, and they're only now doing it because they're forced to. So just an observation on my end.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, asked about that doorbell again. I don't know a lot about smart home stuff. I would definitely look at like the Home Assistant form and see like what doorbells they recommend over there, because all of those people probably know more about smart home stuff than
on the forum
than we do. On the Home Assistant forum, I don't know if you've looked into Home Assistant at all, but they have like a whole community in smart home stuff. Or you could ask on our forum. I'm sure some of our forum community members know about smart home things.
Well, let me see. Smart home.
Does Apple provide the encryption, or do the app developers provide it on iOS devices? If the former, don't you think they have some kind of master key? So when it comes to iCloud advanced data protection, it's Apple provided protection, where you have to enable it, but then you own the keys and all the encryption happens locally on your own device. That only is the case for Apple first-party services. Third-party apps that connect to iCloud to backup things or sync things for whatever reason the developer has to opt into encrypting your data with end-to-end encryption. So you can't assume that advanced data protection is going to end-to-end encrypt all of your data in iCloud. It's only the first-party apps that you can know that that's happening with. We were looking into 2FAs, like that 2FA app, for example, on iOS, and that doesn't have end-to-end encryption, even if you use advanced data protection, because they didn't opt into that encrypted data field in iCloud, unfortunately. So it's only Apple's own iPod services.
And to go back to their question, the doorbell stuff, we actually already have a big thread on this on our forum.
Ooh.
Best home security camera system recommendations. It's not a smart doorbell, but they do say there's different things here. And it's actually a pretty long thread with several recommendations, including from you, actually. Jonah, you have a few recommendations there. And then
it's an old thread.
Right. What didn't age well is Carrie from Firewalls Don't Stop Dragons, who's also on our forum. I interviewed Carrie saying he's been using the Eufy cameras.
Oh no! But I think what he was saying is they work with HomeKit Secure Video, so that is an entirely different firmware.
Yes.
If you're in like the HomeKit ecosystem and you can use HomeKit Secure Video, that is like blocked on the router level, so you don't run into that issue. But that's very funny.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just quickly looking through this. Oh, and then someone suggested over a year ago I should do a video on YouTube covering this topic. I didn't see that.
Could look into that.
With 6 upvotes. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. I just can't keep up with things, man. I'm like...
You have a lot going on.
I do. Well, like, I do one thing. It's like, oh, I finally got that done. And then it's like, wait, what's going on here? And then you're like, what about the clips? What about Plexus? What about Go Incognito? What about Nextcloud series 2 years later? You better not make a Nextcloud video before me.
It might happen if you take long enough, man.
Oh my gosh. You're so unpredictable, though.
Yeah, who knows? It'll happen next week or in like
2 years.
Yeah. Oh no, Hemmert in the chat's at 24% capacity. Barely last 15 to 30
Oh my
minutes.
gosh. Is that a Mac or is that just
yeah, what kind of computer is that? You got to replace your batteries, man. Even if it's a Mac, it's not impossible.
Do you guys use VPN routers and are they actually good or work? I don't. I have in the past reviewed one called Valfo, and it was neat, but not something that I would probably use myself. Mainly because I don't really have the use case for it. I have like 2 or 3 devices I really use on a day-to-day basis. So it's not a big deal for me to just set up a VPN on those devices. If I had a smart TV and I had a ton of devices at home and I had other people I lived with and stuff like that, it might... I don't know, it might be better, but even then, there's other ways to set up a VPN in your router without buying like an exclusive VPN router.
Ilfo.
Yeah, that was a long.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Long
I don't know what a VPN router is. Isn't that just a router?
It's a router with fancy firmware that makes it super easy to set up a VPN. That's really it. So like you can do it on most. I wouldn't say you can do it on most routers. If you buy your own router that has certain features installed, or you can install a custom firmware on it, you can definitely set it up on any router. But all this news is making Henry's head spin. Don't tell him about the new GrayJ app. What's the new GrayJ app?
You haven't heard of Louis Rossman's app?
Oh, that. Oh, yeah, we have a whole thread on that.
Yeah, there's a whole forum thread. Come on, Henry. You got to keep up with this
I didn't remember the name. It's kind of a silly name.
Yeah, it is a bit. It kind of reminds me of like Mockingjay, Hunger Games.
Right. Yeah, we have a whole thread on this too. People need to be on our forum. There's a whole discussion about this, which I apparently missed. And even though I just came in here to rant about Odyssey comments. That's all I added to this discussion. I didn't watch the video. I just was like, hey, I just want you all to know Odyssey comments are terrible, and it's tough for us to be able to moderate things. It's true, though, because like it puts us in a tough position where, when we deal with, these free speech platforms, especially, which don't have any moderation, you can't just leave. I mean, you might be able to because it's YouTube and their moderation seems really weird. But on most platforms, you can't just post terrible things and get away with it. But on Odyssey, you totally can. And so our options as creators, because we don't want our content to be alongside literal hate speech, because like our whole thing is we want digital rights to be for everybody. And so when people load a video on Odyssey and they go, oh, that's interesting, I don't know if I like this, then that's something that we care about. So our options are to just ignore comments completely and just let our videos live alongside this crap. We can moderate comments and slowly lose our minds and be accused of being what, like 1984 or something, even though it's
Right.
our own private video and our own private channel, and it's like we can do whatever we want, like, and then we can just disable comments entirely. I did 3 because that's the easiest thing on Odyssey, but
Yeah.
I always think about that also
You
on the
don't want
YouTube.
your content next to hate speech, so
No,
you're not going to be taking Elon Musk's side in his battle against Disney.
look, look, everyone's against me, and I'm a victim, and everyone's trying to blackmail me because they're after my, I don't know, but they're after something from me. they
Yeah,
they
your life
want
is so tough.
they want my comment space on my videos is what they want. Yeah.
The Odyssey people are going to revolt.
Right. We have been using, so someone actually suggested using API and AI moderation tools and things like that, and we did integrate a form of AI behind the scenes on our forum. You want to talk about that? Because
Yeah.
on our
I
forum,
mean, we talked about it in the last Techlore talks, but
oh,
we
we
can talk
did.
about
Well, we
it
can
again.
talk about it again.
It's cool.
Yeah. Well, did we talked about the suggested topics AI feature, but did we talk about the moderation feature?
I don't remember. It's all the same stuff. Discourse AI came out. It's super cool. The Discourse AI feature, it does have integrations into other like AI providers, like OpenAI, for example. So if you see it on another Discourse forum, you can't know exactly what they're doing with it. But in our case, everything is self-hosted, so you don't have to worry about that on the Techlore forum. But it just does like self-hosted AI stuff. So it flags like comments and then we manually review them, or it does the suggested topics thing on the bottom based on like the content of the topic that you're reading. So I found it super useful for navigating the forum because I'm like, has this question been asked before? I think about that a lot when I read these topics, and then it's super nice to be able to go and see like, oh yeah, there is a good answer in another thread from like a year ago right here in the related section below the post. So I like all the AI stuff. And we can't make use of like all the AI features that Discourse has, but we can do a bunch of stuff with it.
Right. I like the moderation one, which
Mm-hmm.
just auto flags something and goes, there's a 40% chance this is a toxic comment. And it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It just adds a little, and then you just manually review it. And we're not going to get to the point where it's like AI is censoring you forever. It's
Right.
all still going to be like reviewed by moderators, but
Right. I'm a fan. There's not much else to talk about. So why don't we open this up for the last few comments? So we're at 1 hour and 18 minutes on this stream on our ends. So maybe we'll open this up for the next few minutes. So feel free to leave all your final questions and anything else, and we'll start closing this out. Then I can watch this crazy Elon Musk interview. Let's see. Is NetGuard still the best no-root firewall for Android? I haven't found something better, unless you have.
not off the top of my head.
Okay.
But like we've established, I'm not the Android Pro anymore, unfortunately.
So sad. Yeah, I haven't found anything on that's better than NetGuard. On Calyx OS, I don't really have to use NetGuard because it has a built-in Datura firewall. I think it's what they call it, Datura. And so it already handles all that for me, and I don't really have to use NetGuard.
It's cool.
Yeah. And I don't have to worry about combining NetGuard with the VPN and all that nonsense. Let's see. What are the best browsers that respect your privacy and furthermore protect you from most things online, whether that be from tracking and security and so on, even when Manifest v3 comes out? A lot of personal preference. I think 2 things I can point you to. Well, a few things. One, I made a whole like my browser journey video, which I think speaks to how I look at browsers, and it does a good job of just going through how different browsers have different pros and cons. If you want an objective data point type of thing, I really like privacytests.org. And if you don't like privacytests.org, there's just going to be like the techlore.tech resources, or Jonah runs the privacyguides.org resources. But here's privacytest.org, and you can see all the features, the privacy and security features from every browser. And from that, you can generally narrowed down some solid options, and it has iOS, Android, nightly, private modes, and whatnot. Use multiple browsers, though.
Yeah.
Like, honestly. Let's see here. Someone asked a search engine question.
Just what's the most private search engine that has quality searches, but also at the same time provides good privacy?
Personal preference, but what do you like?
Yeah, I stick with DuckDuckGo most of the time, to be honest. I don't mess with all these other search engines, but it seems to work fine for me. But if you have problems with it, you have to test it out and just see. There's like so many options out there.
Right.
There's search engines on like the Techlore resources page that you can look at. Just try them out and see which one you like, right?
Right. I like Brave Search at the moment. I use DuckDuckGo on mobile and
Yeah,
Brave Search
that's
on
a good
desktop.
one.
I really want to try Molvads, actually.
Yeah, I haven't tried that out.
Leta? What was it called?
Leta? Leta, yeah.
Yeah.
However you pronounce it.
Leta. Yeah, I'd like to try it out. The only thing that sucks is I purchased Molvad via Tailscale, so I don't think there's a way for me to claim that.
I assumed it would be IP based. It doesn't just detect that you're coming from a Molvad IP.
Maybe it is.
That would be my.
I'd have to test it.
You should test it. I want to know now, but I was
let
pretty
me
sure
see.
that's how it
I'm
worked.
connected to Molvad right now, actually, during this stream. So let me do Molvad Leta. How do I thought you had to like get access to it. Oh, here, leta.molvad.net. No, you have to enter your account number, and I don't think.
Oh, really?
Let me log into Tailscale real quick.
That's
I don't
kind
think
of a bummer.
you get an account number when you use.
Oh yeah, people are saying you have to enter your Molvad ID every time you open the browser.
That's a bummer.
That's a bummer. Yeah.
And I don't even think I have a Molvad account ID because I purchased it through Tailscale, which is the main limitation in buying Molvad through Tailscale, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Makes sense.
Configure Molvad VPN. Yeah, I'm not seeing an account ID here. Yeah, so don't get it through Tailscale. Let's see.
Hemert asked what disk encryption we recommend on Windows 11 Home. I put my sensitive data into Veracrypt containers. I usually recommend you can use BitLocker with Windows 11 Home if you do it via the command line. So we have a whole guide on how to do so on privacyguides.org, I know. So you could look into that. For the operating system disk, I prefer using BitLocker even in that situation over Veracrypt. But then for like external drives, I always recommend Veracrypt.
It's nice for external drives.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's see.
What can you do if someone asks for your Instagram as a privacy conscious user? In my college, I tend to keep being asked when I meet new people, and I politely say no. I would just I would have like an alternative ready. Like I don't have Instagram, but I have this instead, and see if you can get them to use something else. That really depends on what you use. Unless you don't want to be contacted at all, then you can keep doing what you're doing. But I assume you want to be social.
Someone asked if Brave will continue supporting Manifest v2, and this is definitely a tricky area. One, we don't know, but
didn't they commit to that?
They did commit to that, but the issue with that and what people are starting to bring up is if Chrome and aka Google stop supporting v2 and it becomes deprecated, it's unrealistic for Brave to continue doing that for a super long time, I think. There's only so much Brave can do downstream for this change, I think. So
I think they can do it, personally. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I mean, they already have the code, it exists, and just maintaining it is not like going to be a huge challenge. They have it. Brave is a huge team. If it was like a one-person project, like that one guy who's maintaining, I don't know if it's one guy, but it's a very small group of people who's like maintaining the super old version of Firefox that is like pre-quantum for their extensions or whatever. That is not something that I would like trust in the long term, but I think that Brave, about people can probably stick to maintaining manifest v2 for a long time, or just use Firefox. I don't know why more people don't use Firefox. I'm not a big fan of it.
Right. I just don't like it. I like Chromium-based browsers. I have Mulvad and Tor installed on my machine, but I actually don't have, at the moment, I don't have just vanilla Firefox installed. But I really like Mulvad browser, and I really like Tor browser. But I just prefer Chromium-based browsers on my end. But I'm glad you like Firefox. I kind of wish I liked it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys also go live on Odyssey? No. We already... I don't know what the benefit would be, to be honest. We already disabled comments on Odyssey, so you probably wouldn't be able to engage there. We use Odyssey more as a backup in case something happens to our channel and people can still access our content.
And even in that case, the real backup is PureTube nowadays.
Right.
But this stream will get mirrored to Odyssey afterwards, I think, won't it?
Yeah, I think
it'll
there's
get
a
put on
max
PureTube by now.
limit. I forgot what the max stream limit is. I think because I've done a super long stream before and it didn't carry over. I forgot what the max is, but yeah.
I guess if Brave is going to continue maintaining manifest v2, the bigger problem will be
extensions.
I just didn't think about this earlier. Yeah, extension support. Right. Like what extensions are going to exist?
Well, that's kind of what I mean. I mean, like,
yeah,
it's a deprecated thing, so I don't really know what the point is if the entire world moves on. It doesn't matter if Brave, it's going to be like a Pale Moon situation where it's like, well, we're still doing this, and it's like, well, who cares? Like, you're doing your own little thing. That's not...
I don't know how big Brave is. I think that if Brave launched their own extension store for V2 apps, I think that they could get a few people.
Right. Maybe
release their extensions on it.
I don't understand manifest enough to know what, like, if you develop something for V3, is it cross-compatible with V2? Maybe Brave could release its own thing that's not called manifest anymore, but it's compatible with V2, V3, and its own. I don't know how that works. I'm just not. I don't know anything about this. So.
Yeah, I don't know if V3 would be backwards compatible.
Definitely probably not by design, but I don't know.
It's annoying. It's just ridiculous that Google is doing this, in my opinion, for pretty much no reason except to get rid of ad blockers. I know they have a lot of their own reasons, but that they've made up. But it specifically targets ad blockers.
Right.
Which is what they're doing more and more. Of course, this coincides with what they're doing on YouTube, for example, right now. They're just trying to kill uBlock origin specifically, I think, in any way they can.
Right. For those wondering, I just switched over to a screen here on the Brave forum. Their answer is the manifest v3 has been delayed for a couple. By the way, this came out last year, so it's a little bit dated. But they're pretty much saying that the team put together a rewrite of their ad blocking engine with Rust and then put it into the core of the browser for the network request. So we're not coming in on the same API that's affected by manifest v3. Brennan has also talked about the possibility for writing support for other ad blocking extensions too, but that will be disclosed at a later date. When this rolls out, most likely you'll see a softer experience on blockers that aren't on Brave, but Brave will still have the blocking you expect. But this was, a year ago, and this is more of a highlight story. I don't know what the update is since then. Do they use Discourse as well? It looks like they do.
Yeah, they do.
That's cool.
Lots of people use Discourse. It's
all the cool kids use Discourse.
So true.
But is that it? Well, here, someone said Google could just ban uBlock from their extension store. But even if they did that, you can still manually install the extension. So,
yeah, plus that'd be a huge legal problem, I think.
Yeah.
Monopoly-wise, if Google is trying to defend their position as we're not blocking ad blockers because we're not a monopoly, they can't do that. They have to come up with some dramatic excuse to get rid of ad blockers while making it seem like it's unrelated to that, even though it's clearly not.
Right. All right, man. I think we should probably call it there. We're at right about an hour and a half on the money, actually. Like in 5 seconds, it'll be an hour and a half. So, thank you all for your time. As always, these streams are an hour and a half, and so hopefully you all get some value from this and you get your questions answered and you learned something new today. If not, I hope you at least had fun and you got to chit chat with other people who care about digital rights and things like that. Again, if you want to join things and leave your questions in advance in the most prioritized fashion, check out our Patreon. It's also a great way to support what we're doing. This is a lot of work. We're very overloaded and tired a lot trying to stay up with our projects, and having the support does help us financially be able to keep up with everything. And we're also on the forum too, so definitely check out the forum. And oh, someone just tuned in. It's okay. You can go back and re-listen to everything if you want. Get some good watch time.
Yes.
So yeah, check out the forum at discuss.techlore.tech. We would love to have you over there. And anything else you want to mention?
No. See you in the next stream whenever that is.
Yeah. Well, the goal is every month. We did do one last month, but it was a Techlore Talks live stream, not a Q&A live stream.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, we've been okay at these. So hopefully see you next month. And see you, everyone.
See ya.
And then there's the awkward moment where I have to like end the stream and I'm still talking. And
Oh, jeez.
gotta...
You should have been preparing this whole time.